today's question is not about where is my truck, but how can I use this data in order to make my business successful?
Hello and welcome everyone to this brand new episode of the Auto Tech Show, our podcast that looks at the challenges, innovations, and solutions throughout the automotive industry. As always, my name is Marc Babin, your host, and it's great to have you all with me today for this exciting episode. As you can see, we are back at the IAA Transportation Show here in Hanover, Germany with another live recording. And on this episode, we are talking all about the Internet of Things and GPS, two commonplace topics in the automotive industry. But today we're going to look at how they are continuing to transform the everyday operations of those in the transport business. And to do so, I'm very happy to welcome Eleanor Uffizioabout from Uffizio, a leading GPS tracking software company providing fleet management software services in the B2B market worldwide for over 20 years. So with that introduction, Eleanor, thank you so much for being with me today. I know it's a very busy show for you and you're walking your feet off, lots of meetings. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mark. Really, it's the first time that I'm here and I'm just mesmerized about all the opportunities and everybody's here who is playing any kind of role in the transportation. But I think the participation here really puts you in a position of a key market player.
You've been in the automotive industry and you've been in the space a little bit here
Yes.
for quite a while. What is your impression of what you're seeing on the show floor throughout all the different halls? Is it what you're expecting to see, or are we maybe a little bit further advanced than you thought? What is kind of your expectation versus reality seeing everyone?
Well, first of all, I did not expect the fair to be so huge, to be honest. What I'm seeing is there is so much innovation going on that without participating and without coming to see this with your own eyes, you would never actually keep up with the market trends.
It's a good point. I think a lot of conversations happen at events like this
Yes.
that help to propel the industry as a whole
Exactly.
forward. And if you're not part of that conversation, you're maybe leaving a little bit behind and maybe not giving it your all. And I think that's key for an event like this. You would agree?
I completely agree. I mean, this is what I said to my company. I said, if we are not coming, then what are we doing at all?
Yeah, I think it's an important thing, and to have the conversations, like I said, to be part of those conversations and be here in any capacity is super important.
Of course, you need to be present. You need to be present because the market is evolving so fast. You cannot just keep up with it.
Yeah. So speaking of things moving fast, obviously today we're talking about GPS and the Internet of Things. Uffizio's been at the forefront of GPS tech for over 2 decades. It's an incredible amount of time.
It is.
Throughout that period of time, how has your company, how have you seen things shift to where we are today?
It's a good question, actually, because we started out as a track and trace company, and with more and more timing, the clients' demands, they just shifted from something very simple to very complicated. And right now what people are asking for is industry-specific data analytics, the devices that will be providing this data. For example, even in these industries like construction, we're using all the sensors. In the agriculture, we're using it to have a precision farming. So it's not only in transportation. Like right now, what we're seeing is evolving of IoT sensors and GPS users into basically monitoring and data tracking in every possible way.
So really just continue a whole holistic evolution over the number of years.
It is, and imagine what's going to happen when AI will be fully implemented into this technology.
We're already seeing it, isn't it? It's crazy.
We are.
I think that the rate of expansion of the technology is incredible, because the number of years ago it was a concept, then it was brought in stages, and now solution over solution is just growing incredibly fast. How does someone like you and your organization, how do you keep up with all of this change and stay on the front line?
I talk to people, I network, because without these people, how else am I going to know? Am I going to, read the newspapers? No.
You have to have real conversations.
You have to have a real conversation. You have to get the insights from the professionals who have been on the market and who have seen how the industry is changing. And only this way you can understand how to put quality into the services that you're offering.
So you've had these conversations, and I'm interested to know, looking at IoT and looking at GPS, what are some of the unexpected and maybe things like different ways you've seen it used within the automotive industry, ways that you promote and encourage, ways that maybe you don't encourage? What are some of those unexpected findings?
Well, I actually, in the automotive, like from the point of my head, I could not recall, but I did have a few interesting stories which involved tracking and the use of the sensors and the monitor. And one of them was, for example, in Kazakhstan, right? They breed horses because they eat them. And the one horse cost a lot of money. But what they do, the farmers, is they just let these horses roam free all over the steppe and all over, the green fields. And what they need to do is they need to track them because they get stolen. And if a horse is stolen from a farmer who has only 2 or 3, this means like he will not be eating, basically. And another funny story was that I got once request for the beaver tracking, because the beavers, they destroy the ecosystem a little bit too much if they're not controlled. But then the question was, how do you track a beaver? Like, where do you put the sensor on it? And then it goes underwater, but there is no signal underwater. And then usually beavers, they live outside in the forest, so how are we going to get the connection? And it's this kind of cases that actually make you think, oh my God, this is not just about track and trace, There's so much potential, it's incredible.
I guess it kind of relates to the automotive space a little bit, right? Because there's so many nuances and maybe like oddities when it comes to having to track or monitor a fleet in a certain aspect or an automotive aspect in a certain element that is a way that you wouldn't have thought about in the past. And you need that technological advancement with IoT, with GPS to monitor that correctly. Are those things happening? Are those conversations happening?
Oh, they are happening. They are happening because first of all, the prices and inflation increases, so everybody wants to optimize, essentially. And today's question is not about where is my truck, but how can I use this data in order to make my business successful, And that's why, like, for example, insurance is on the rise. The automotive insurance is one of the biggest how do you call it, industries? Yeah, industries, where people just don't want to lose money, they don't want to lose their cars, and they want to be protected. But also what I'm seeing is it's also about protection of people, for their drivers. So we're actually taking care of human beings who are working in this industry.
Ultimately, it comes down to that human aspect, no matter what industry you're in. And there's no difference in the automotive or the transport space.
Of course. You want to protect your driver. That's why the question right now is how do you do it without violating anybody's rights? So this is a tricky part where we are at right now, because the GDPR is very strong, but at the same time, without the use of certain cameras and certain sensors, there is a high risk that there could be an accident and we want to prevent this.
As much as possible.
As much
Safety
as possible.
Has to be.
Safety is number one.
Every conversation, safety in the transport industry especially is number one.
Yeah.
You're having conversations with a lot of prospects and a lot of people who obviously you want to push your services onto. Are there challenges that you can meet with your solutions that they currently have? Or are you trying to reinvent the way they're doing something currently, or is it a gap that they have that you're trying to fill?
Well, usually the clients come to me with a specific request, right? And because I've been working in the hardware for 4 years, before I started working with Uffizio as a software fleet management company, I can usually tell to my clients which way is the best way for them to implement the case. And if I don't have the knowledge per se at the moment, this is where I use my network. I talk to the people and I ask them. I was like, hey, maybe you know what to do in this case. Maybe you know what to do in this case. And usually together, through the networking and through the communication, we find the best solution. Because this is my primary motivation, actually, to help people.
As it should be, and that's what it comes down to. You're going to find the best solution for them if you can genuinely help them.
Yes.
So you're having a lot of these conversations then. What are the common things that you find as part of these conversations? Is it process optimization? Is it just how they're using their current software setup or their current hardware data collection? Is it everything that you're kind of going in and overhauling? What is the most common challenge that you're really addressing with people?
Usually what people are asking the most is the route optimization. Yes, based on the distance or based on the weight, or for example in Europe, which it is a little bit more complicated than in the other countries because we have so many UNESCO cities, we have so many protected cities where you cannot drive at a certain time, where you cannot go with a certain weight. So you need to have the sensors for the load sensors, then you need to have the proper maps, and then you need to have a proper software which will optimize these distances so the driver does not waste resources, time. And when we talk about resources, I mean as well burning fuel, for example, because we got to be sustainable, we got to keep our planet safe and green.
And I guess it goes deeper than that as well, because route optimization has a lot of effects on the life cycle of the fleet and all these different elements. So from your point of view, then having the right partnerships that you can then offer to prospects of your own is important to meet their needs as well. You need to have those right collaborations.
We need to have partners. For example, even for the cameras, we need to have partners where we protect the faces of other people, you know. We need to have partners for, usually what the best is right now, the trend is to go with AIs, with automated and with the AI help. So you have the you have the AI for the management of the devices, you have AIs for the route optimization, and this is what people are asking for. They're saying, let's go, let's bring all this new innovative technology together. But at the same time, nobody has a pretty clear idea yet of how exactly to do it.
Interesting. So then what role do you play in that part of the story then? You're helping them to define what they need to collect and what they need to use? That's essentially the role.
That's essentially what I do.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Streamlining the day-to-day for a lot of businesses, I think, is as the fleet manager's job is to streamline their operations and streamline their routes and everything. But again, it goes a lot more deeper to their day-to-day job and what they need to do, from how they fuel trucks to how they load trucks to where those trucks go with the route optimization, to larger fleets, maybe that where are they putting their new fleet vehicles? Are they putting them in northern countries or southern countries? There's a lot of data going on here. Mm-hmm. To manage that as a fleet manager, is it realistic to have a single source of truth in today's technological world when there's so many solutions out there? Everyone does a piece, everyone plays a piece. A single source of truth, is that a reality for fleet managers?
In a dream world?
In a dream world.
In a dream world, that would be ideal, because nobody wants to click through tons of screens. Nobody wants to go and verify, oh my God, is this information correct? That's why it's important to understand which hardware is working the best for the certain solution, where we are strongest, where we are not that strong. But for me, for example, there is no problem with understanding if there is some weaknesses or some solution which is not developed yet. I will say honestly, I say, no, at the moment, this is not something that we can do for you, but go to these guys.
Yeah, and they helping them is the primary
and they
goal.
can help you, yes. And this is what people actually appreciate, and the fleet managers, because he doesn't want to sit there and dream about when it's going to happen. He needs it now. He needs it yesterday, because tomorrow his clients are going to say, hey, where is my solution? If you don't have it, I'm going to go somewhere else, because the market is super competitive.
Especially, I think, with what you guys do, I think it's a very competitive market in the software management side.
Oh my God, yes.
I think your angle with it, with the IoT and with the GPS side of things, where do you see the next 5-10 years of the industry developing from the IoT and GPS? And is there something there that's perhaps something exciting that you're excited to see finally released?
Well, as I said, I am excited to see how AI will be integrated into the softwares and the hardware. And essentially, when you talk about the hardware of IoT sensors, I think what people want is one device, sort of one ring to bind them and to rule them all, because it just saves time in the installation. And if you can have all the data coming from one source, it's just so much more efficient and so much more cost effective,
for them
exactly.
as well. Plus, from a user point of view, not having a tool belt of devices more or less, but to have a single place.
Yeah, just like make it simple but make it efficient. And from, I guess, the software part, what people I think would want is not something where you can have all the capabilities in the world, but they want to. I think this is where we're going for the single screen specific for the industry, specific for the certain use cases. So you don't have to click through tons of pages. You log in and you see everything that you need in one space, because also psychologically our attention span is reducing.
Even in the professional world.
Yes, it is. So we gotta be fast. Yeah, we gotta be fast. We gotta be quick. We gotta be simple, but we gotta be good.
Yeah, and I think it's that trifecta. Like, how you can never have everything. So what do you prioritize? I guess is the question. And right now, priorities on everything. Unfortunately, the data that comes in, the data that goes out, the strategic decisions that are made from that as well are so vital these days. As regulations change, as sustainability becomes a topic, this shapes everything. Regulation is something I wanted to ask you about as well, because it's always this chicken and the egg situation where what comes first, the innovation or the regulation to manage that innovation? From your point of view with Internet of Things and GPS, how do things evolve? Is it based on, like, with what you guys do? Do you base it off of what regulation is going to change in the industry, or do you try to push the boundaries with innovation first?
I think the question here is what market are we talking about? And having done the market research, you could do both follow the regulations, because you cannot not follow them, right? But at the same time, try to see it in the long run. Where is this regulation going to take you? What would be the essential consequences of this regulation? And what would consumer or my client ask for in this 5 years connected to this regulation? And this is where the innovation would come in.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly right on. I think they both go hand in hand.
They do.
Innovation sparks a need for regulation, but without regulation, a lot of change wouldn't happen, because it forces the broader industry to adapt. It's always this question of, do you want more regulation? And well, no, but we need it. So this is always kind of the tricky thing.
It's a tricky. Yeah, you gotta find the balance. And then if something, it's never unexpected, because
there's always
it's
a conversation.
Coming. Yes,
events like this, it's happening.
Something is happening. You know that this is the general direction where we're gonna go. And then you see how the companies are reacting, and some of them decide, you know what, when it comes, that's when we're gonna do something. And others are thinking, no, we need something predictive. We need predictive analysis, because we don't want to be behind the line when this happens.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why, again, coming full circle to our conversation, that's why it's important to be at these events, these trade shows, to be part of the conversation, so that you're not left dumbfounded when something does change.
Yes, you gotta stay. How do you say it?
Current.
On
top.
You gotta stay on top. You gotta stay current.
Yeah, it's an important place to be in, and I think we're seeing it from everyone
it's lovely.
here.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah, well, it's been great for you to have you for these few moments. Thank you for your time today.
Thank
and
you so
hopefully
much,
you have
Mark.
more great conversations today, but it's been great having your insights on this topic.
It's been great being here. Really, my first podcast.
Hey, we did it. Easy,
Thank you.
easy. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Mark.
And for everyone watching and listening, thank you very much for being with me on this episode. It's been great having you. Hopefully you've learned a lot and lots to think about and maybe take home and do a little bit of reflecting on as well within your own organization. If you have any questions or comments about what you heard today, head down to the podcast notes. We'll have links to both Eleanor and my LinkedIn, as well as what Uffizio's doing. You can check out them as well and see a little bit more about what their services they're offering. So definitely head down to the podcast notes and take a look there. But with that, we'll leave everyone to the rest of their day. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you very soon on the next episode. Bye for now.